Welcome to another edition of Kent Hans, the best storyteller in Texas. Hello to all of our new listeners out there. And Chancellor, I met a few of them this weekend in Burnet, Texas. I was judging the State High School Barbecue Championship. Several people came up and said, tell Chancellor Hans I love his podcast. And one of them said if he ran for governor, I'd vote for him.
Well, I tell that last one, don't get carried away. That's not going to happen. But judging a barbecue contest, there's a lot worse assignments than that. That sounds pretty good.
It was great. A bunch of great kids from all over the state, and I ate a lot of pork chop yesterday.
Pork chop. I'd probably go for the sausage or meat.
I was hoping to get assigned that, but yeah. I got pork chop.
Somebody got there earlier.
That's right. What's our saying of the day?
Saying of the day is never cut a dog's tail off an inch at a time. You'll be yelping more than once. If you're going to cut the dog's tail off, just whack it off. Get it done. And so that's kind of, if you're pulling a Band-Aid, rip it off. Get it over with. And I think that reminds me of all the unrest that's going on now, that some of the schools have settled. Mm-hmm. And, so they're cutting it off an inch at a time, cutting the tail off. And the ones that have settled, like Northwestern, it's a great school. I would have guessed an Ivy League school would have settled first. They were pretty weak. Mm-hmm. But Northwestern said, no, let us be the weak one, we'll settle. And they gave in to 8 of their demands. One of them, they're going to let them sit in on the discussion about investing in people that make weapons that the Israelis may use. And then they're the people who run those funds, they're trying to make a rate of return so they can give more scholarships to the students. Mm-hmm. So let's get over there and come up with a way we make less money and there'll be less scholarships. These people are really smart. Northwestern got in there in Brown University, and then University of Washington, Minnesota, and then Evergreen College in Olympia, Washington. They got in and negotiated. What do y'all want us to do? We're going to do it.
So you're saying they'll probably come back for more?
Oh, they'll definitely come back for more.
Yeah,
I think with Northwestern, they gave in on 8 of 10. Wow. I think, and some of these students are yelling death to America and death to Jews. I hope they, hang out and they don't give in on those. Give me a break.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a bunch of kids. If they don't like it, they can transfer. I just find it amazing that there's so many weak administrators. I think Jay Hartzell's done a great job at UT. He's had some criticism. Texas Tribune wrote an article very sympathetic to the students, and it talked about that one girl said that, that they dragged her off of where she was by her hair. Mm-hmm. And things like that happen. If you go to cause problems, policemen probably going to, give you some problems. But it said that she's afraid now that they got her name that she won't graduate.
Right.
And she's worked 4 years for this, and it was easy. Just don't go. Protest some other way, and don't break the rules. But Jay Hartzell, I noticed that the news all were talking about 600 professors signed a letter.
I saw that.
Yeah, a letter of a lack of confidence.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. They've got 3,300 professors. So you're talking about 20% signed a letter. I am shocked that more didn't sign a letter. They're, Jay listened to them, and I'm sure that, but look, the governor and the chairman of the board, Kevin Eltife, they're representing stockholders, the voters. Mm-hmm. And, if you do a poll, do you agree with the students taking over and setting up tents and it's not going to win in Texas. Maybe it'll win some other states, but I doubt it. And some of the Cal Berkeley has taken a position that they're not going to take a position, and their deal is if you camped out and you don't break any rules or anything, they're just going to let it ride out. over a period of time. So they may be there. The students get tired of living in those tents. You know what they would say, if you're not sleeping in that tent every night, we're going to fold the tent up and put it in the trash. Those are nice tents.
Somebody paid for those tents.
Oh, yeah. Somebody paid for the whole thing. Of the 137 that were arrested at the University of Texas, majority of them were not University of Texas students. So, it tells you a lot.
Yeah.
And then some of the ones that were interviewed were talking about how upset they were, and they weren't going to give money to the University of Texas when they get it. And the major was a social worker. Well, my word, if the social worker's not going to give us money, how will we stay open? Give me a break. That's childish. And,
it's naive. It's
very naive,
yeah.
and they think I'll say that we're not going to give them any money, and they'll change, or they'll change their position.
Yeah,
they're going to try to follow the rules and regulations, and they expect you to do the same. Period. That's the way it's going to go. I just wanted to know where all the people were. Where were the demonstrators? The incident started in Israel on October 7th when they invaded Israel and killed people, murdered people, and beheaded some babies and did things like that. Why weren't they out there raising Cain and having demonstrations on October 8th, 9th, 10th? And I'm sure the answer is, well, it's gotten to the point because there's got money invested in Lockheed Martin and McDonald, just different companies that produce airplanes and weapons. And so that's what they're yelling about. But how about somebody saying it was wrong for the Palestinians, for Hamas, to do what they did and kill people? Mm-hmm. I'd like for one group just come out and say, we're against the killing of Israelis, but they've been saying they want to kill them.
Mm-hmm. They're very clear about that.
Yeah.
Their position is kill them all.
And death to America and death to Israel, but it was okay for Hamas to invade Israel and kill people there. So they're inconsistent, and I thought that it was an article that if you weren't careful, you get to feeling sorry for the girl that went out and demonstrated and is afraid she can't graduate. Welcome to the real world. Grow up. UT also said that some of the protesters had guns and that some people were assaulted. And the prosecutor in Austin, who is a George Soros guy, said that they've presented no evidence to that. So there's a lot of facts still that haven't been determined what was correct and what wasn't correct. But
did you get the feeling at all during all of this that at some point these protests tipped from being anti-Israel to anti-America?
Oh, there's no question it is, and they got off. They spent a lot of time on climate change and every left-wing idea that's come along, and I think that's what happens when something like this starts. A lot of people that are on the far left, they want to get their issue out. They're going to show up, and at the right time, they'll start yelling for their issue, even though it may not be the original issue that started the demonstration.
There's a lot better ways to get your voice, let your voice be heard than storming buildings, vandalism, fires.
Yeah, but breaking a glass to reach in the door and unlock the door is not the way to do it. And the people on January the 6th that stormed the Capitol, that was not a smart idea. And that were they trying to overthrow the government? I doubt it. I think it's a bunch of stupid people thought that they could have an impact on something, but it was same thing, and getting their picture made in the U.S. Senate with their feet up on the desk, and you think something's not going to happen. Yeah, something's going to happen, and it's not going to be fun. So in demonstration, I still go back to Kent State. No one went that demonstration at Kent State thinking I'm going to shoot and kill somebody. And no one went thinking I might get shot and killed today. But 4 people died and 9 people got severely injured. And so you don't know on things like that. I tell students, stay away. There may be a nut. Law of averages, let's say 5% are nuts. And 500 people show up. Well, that's 25 people are nuts. And you got to be careful. Speaking of nuts, let's talk about the Congress that we got a question. Somebody wanted to know about Marjorie Taylor Greene and how could she bring it to a vote. And what happened, and Kevin McCarthy, I thought, made a mistake when he did this, but he was trying to get things settled down. He agreed that in the rules, one person could bring a motion for a vote on the speaker. And they ought to have 20. It gives the speaker a little elbow room. But one can bring it up. And she's going to bring up a vote. And she was on TV last night saying that the Democrats are going to have to vote for him. Some of the Democrats will. And some of the Republicans won't, and that how can they go run for re-election in their primaries after they voted for a Republican? And I don't see that that's going to cause much of a problem, that they're going to say that, we were trying to work with somebody, so I don't think she understands that. But she loves publicity.
That was my question.
Yeah, and all the members say that, she's a show horse, not a workhorse, and that she wants her name in the paper and on social media and everything. And, she gets a lot of hate mail, and I think that, that's just part of it, that it doesn't bother. She just likes the thrill of seeing herself on TV. And you're going to have members like that. The speaker had pretty good, favorable rating, and I don't agree with everything he's done. But if the Republicans move to remove him and do that and have to elect another speaker, your majority's 1, 2, 3. It fluctuates. But if they do that, it's going to hurt them keeping control of the House. And you're talking about shooting yourself in the foot, reloading, shooting again. That's what it would be. I don't think it'll happen. I think she'll make the motion and there'll be a vote. But I don't see it.
Does she have many people with her?
She might have 5. She might have 10, It'll be interesting to see how many people that Matt Gaetz is, I think, with her. And
he's one did last time.
And, and Matt's, Matt gets mad at her every once in a while when she gets her name in the paper more than he does. So a little competition there, but that's good. That's good. And, that you got to look at the big picture. Where are we going to be a year from now? I think Republicans certainly don't look good if they call for another vote, move him out, and then try to move somebody else in. I don't know they can get anyone that can get all the votes.
It just makes them look like they're not united, too.
Yeah,
and
it makes them look like they don't know what they're doing, and they're not united. And that's I will say this, Pelosi, and I rarely ever agreed with her, she would never agreed to one person asking her for her removal. They wouldn't have had a rule like that. And so it's a different rule, different day.
We always enjoy hearing from you. Send your email to info@hantspodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram as well at Best Storyteller Podcast. Chancellor, there was an article out this week that talked to different generations and asked them how much their time is worth.
Time's money, and a survey, and I believe they did 2,200 individuals about how much they think an hour of their time is worth. And the funny thing about the millennials, they said $328 an hour their time is worth, and a quarter of them said $500 an hour. They ought to be practicing law.
I was going to say that's the price of a good lawyer, isn't it?
Yeah, and Gen Z, the Gen Z born between 95 and 2005, they said an hour of their time was worth $266. They're a little less. Mm-hmm. And then Gen X, from 65 to 80, there's this $215 an hour. And the baby boomers, my buddies, they say $137 an hour. You're old enough to remember the good old days. Mm-hmm. And that 26% would be willing to take a pay cut if they were allowed to have more time, more free time. It goes back to last week, and nobody, they must not have listened, nobody came in and joked with me and said, I want to work 7 days a week. I think they knew me, and they go, oh, don't bring that up. He's liable to say, oh, that's a great idea. Let's just do that. But I thought it's 7. And then 1 day a week had 6% of the people, they want a 1 day week. Mm-hmm. Let's work on Wednesday. Well, you want to have a thankful Friday, Can you remember the last time you didn't do something work-related on a day? You worked 7 days a week. 7 days a week, and I bring stuff home with me, and I work on it. And that's professional people do that. The bad thing about it, you get Sunday night and you hadn't gotten it all done that you took home. But they've got a lot to do. Now, there's something to be said for workers that do not have to take anything home. If you're driving a truck, you should not take anything home. You need to relax and rest up and be ready and be alert the next day. And that if you're a doctor or a lawyer or banker or something, you're going to have to get some time to work on issues at home where you're not bothered by the phone all the time. I have a friend that delivers the mail. She's a postal delivery, and she told me once, it's the greatest job ever. I fill my bag up, I deliver the mail. When my bag's empty, I'm done. That's it. Yep, that's it. My dad was a rural mail carrier. Okay, and he told me one time that I was going to get every vote in his precinct where he carried the mail but 3. An election came in at night, my opponent got 3. And he knew who they were. Mm-hmm. He'd turned them into postal authorities. One time they put turpentine on a cat's rear and put it in the mailbox. So when my dad opened the mailbox, he said the cat was doing around 130 miles an hour when it came out, and it clawed up him. He had deep scratches on him, and it clawed up the lining, the old felt lining they had in cars, and so he turned them into postal authorities, and they got in some trouble. That's pretty clear. Put that cat in that mailbox. Cat was mad. Yeah. And first person when they opened the mailbox, it was Katie barred the door. But he enjoyed his mail route. He'd have one time a lady left some money, and she put, please buy me stamps and button them on the envelope. He didn't know exactly how you button them on, but he put the stamps on anyway. But he knew everybody, and I think back, a friend of mine, and I've mentioned this on the show, his name was Thompson, and he was editorial editor of the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. But when he was in the military, he was taken at the march in the Philippines. I was trying to think of the name. Bataan Death March? But yeah, and they got him, and his parents didn't know if he was alive or not. And 18 months after he was reported missing, the post office got a postcard from the Red Cross, and it said, your son is alive. And it came in on Christmas Eve. They'd already delivered the mail, and the postmaster, somebody showed it to him, and he's got in his car and drove out there and gave it to him, which made their Christmas better. They didn't know what shape he's in, but they knew he's alive. Yeah. And so it gave them hope. But the Bataan Death March, very few people survived that. And that was atrocious what happened. And they weren't camped out in a tent, saying don't divest. Be sure and divest of any money that you got with somebody that does business with Israel or something like that.
Isn't it amazing? Just 2-3 generations removed, the attitude of your generation was, all right, we got to go do this, right? Yeah. And now it's like, no.
It changed. It started changing during the Vietnam conflict.
With video.
And let me tell you why. A couple of reasons. One, it was on the evening news. Mm-hmm. If World War II, if there had been television, I don't know if we'd have won or not. People would say, well, too many kids getting killed and everything. The other thing about Vietnam is that there were people in my class, my graduating class, or a class before me, that got killed. We had 2 or 3 from my high school that got killed. Mm-hmm. And so the difference in those demonstrations versus this Israeli Hamas issue is that you had people that you knew and you knew of. Mm-hmm. And so that changed it a lot. But I've always said if we'd had television covering World War II, D-Day and stuff like that, I think we'd have given in or we'd have reached a settlement.
This America couldn't stomach it.
Couldn't
right?
stomach it, and it would be pretty slanted. It'd be tough to get people just to hang in there.
Just a reminder to flip through our past episodes. There's a lot of great content there, so make sure that you check it out. Chancellor Hance, what other stories caught your eye this week?
We had another issue that I saw and read in the paper, and there was a lawyer. He was a criminal defense lawyer mm-hmm. in Little Rock, and an armored car was restocking an ATM machine, and he was there and pulled pepper spray and sprayed them to try to get the money. And the guy that was loading the machine with $100 bills and 20s and everything like that, he pulled out his gun and shot the guy. And the guy fell, and then he got up and he had a getaway, and his getaway was a bicycle. And he rode the bicycle to where he had a car hidden, and then he took off, but he got stopped on the interstate, and they caught him. This was in regular news, and in my opinion, it should be under stupid criminals. And for a lawyer to do that, I mean, he was just dumb. He didn't realize that if you're spraying mace and the other side has a gun and you're robbing them, the odds are that they're liable to shoot you. Interest rates, the Fed met and they've kept it the same, and I don't see them making any changes. They're not going to drop those interest rates unless things really slow down even more. It's had an impact. I've got friends that are car dealers and sell used cars and everything, and their business is down. Mm-hmm. People just can't afford the payments, and the real estate is down because the payments got so high.
People's buying power went away.
Yeah, when the interest rates on buying a house was 2.7 or 2.9, those payments weren't all that high, and you could afford a house. But I started building some apartments before all this happened, and at one time I was, paying 3%, 3.2, and then all of a sudden we're at 8.5. So that really adds a lot of cost that you've got to factor in as you go forward. Thanks for listening, and it's a great week. And just remember this: don't cut a dog's tail off an inch at a time. If you're going to cut it off, whack, do it once and get it over with. Move on down the road.